Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, tonight is a big night for fireworks. Some cities warn against them. Others are putting on sanctioned fireworks displays. We'll talk to the chief of the Surrey Fire Department up first, and we're asking you, are fireworks a part of your Halloween celebrations? Should they be limited or even banned? At 12:30, hip-hop pioneer Maestro Fresh Wes will be here. He'll share the story of helping a friend through addiction recovery. And we're asking you about someone who's helped you and how important was that support. I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. Well, besides the endless displays of Halloween costumes today, there will also be displays in the skies. Fireworks are a big part of Halloween celebrations. They can be spectacular for sure, but they are also a safety hazard. They can pose risks to hearing health, and they can be problematic for some people who are neurodiverse. Now, some cities have banned them altogether. Some allow fireworks just on Halloween. So please check your local municipality for the rules there. And we're asking you, does your community celebrate Halloween with fireworks? Should they be limited or banned? How do you feel about fireworks on Halloween? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Our email is bctoday@cbc.ca. In a moment, we'll go up to Armstrong, where they are getting ready for their big bonfire and Halloween fireworks display. Right now, we're going to go to Surrey, and the celebrations of Halloween and Diwali are coinciding. The city has significantly raised fines for unauthorized fireworks. Larry Thomas is Surrey Fire Chief and joins me now. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for joining us. How concerning are fireworks during Halloween and Diwali celebrations?
You know, I think from past experience, just in the fire concept, there's been significant harms from, uncontrolled consumer fireworks and misuse, from anything from, shrubs, hedges, cars, sheds, and houses and apartment buildings burning down. And so, Surrey's been proactive with a fireworks bylaw for many years now, and we've seen the numbers of those events decrease with our bylaw that restricts the sale and use of consumer fireworks. So it's been successful. It doesn't stop all of the firework use, though, because people can source the products from other locations.
Right. And I was going to ask, how difficult is that to enforce?
Yeah, so, our bylaws department's very proactive this type of the year, making sure that there's not illegal sales happening, through advertising, the internet, or in physical locations. The real challenge, I think, for all fire services in the Lower Mainland is that people can mail order fireworks from anywhere and get them delivered to their doorstep. And so it's really hard to enforce that. And so, we're trying to be proactive, get the message out. We really want people in general, as you mentioned earlier, to have a safe Halloween and Diwali and all the trick-and-treaters, but, be respectful of the pets and the people that have issues with loud bangs and stuff like that. And, we're encouraging people and communities to organize fireworks shows and get a permit, get a professional to do it, because everyone likes watching a fireworks show. We just want to make sure they're done safely and there's no misuse like we see on the consumer side.
And so what are the requirements then for getting that permit? What are the kinds of things that are allowed?
Yeah, so fireworks shows are allowed. There's certain times in the year, like during dry season, where we don't approve any permits for any pyrotechnics or fireworks in the city. But this time of the year, the risk when it's a controlled event is quite low, so it's safe and fun for people. And so, a professional can make an application. It comes through to the fire department. We review the location. We use the Natural Resources Canada guide for fireworks shows for safe distances from buildings and other flammable or combustible buildings. And people can put on the shows. So, that is what we're hoping this will evolve to over time, instead of people doing it in their neighborhoods and maybe some people misusing them and shooting them at things they shouldn't be. And that's where the problems and harms come in.
I can imagine. If you want to just hold on, thank you for joining me, Chief Larry Thomas with the Surrey Fire Department. We are asking our audience as well, how do you feel about fireworks on Halloween? Do you celebrate Halloween with fireworks? Does your community have a fireworks display? Do you think they should be limited or even banned? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. And Jeff is on the line in Kelowna. Hi, Jeff. What are your thoughts on Halloween fireworks?
I do not think they should be banned at all. I think in a controlled environment put on by the district or your community is 100% okay. I'm getting very frustrated with everything being banned because the minority have an issue with it. We're canceling too many fun things for, kids and kids alike, whether they're 50 or 5.
And do you have, are there fireworks displays in Kelowna?
I saw some. There was some in Lake Country.
Yeah.
I haven't seen whether there was some in Kelowna or in West Kelowna as of this point, but I'm hoping there is.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't cancel all the fun. There you go, Jeff in Kelowna. And thank you so much for the call. As Stephen writes us, yes, they should be banned for the health and safety of people, pets, wildlife, and the environment. So 2 very different opinions there. I'm with Larry Thomas, the chief of the Surrey Fire Department. And do you actually get complaints as well? I know you've run into situations in the past, and do some of those come from complaints from residents?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fire department doesn't do enforcement of complaints related to fireworks, but we do respond to all the calls that people phone in. Our bylaws, I believe, went to over 500 complaint calls last year on Halloween alone.
Wow.
That might not sound like a lot, but there's probably not a lot of people phoning in after hours to make those complaints. So, that last caller, I agree with them. As long as they're controlled and done by professionals, they can be in designated areas, and it's fun for everyone. It's really the consumer fireworks that are unregulated, where any person, regardless of age, can get their hands on them and then use them for means that they weren't designed to be used for. That's where the real problems come in, using them in neighborhoods that aren't designed to have firework displays, as the potential for harms for people, pets, and for fires.
Have you found, I know you mentioned that the Surrey bylaw has, you've had in place for several years now. Have you found the situation to improve given having sanctioned events and permitted events? Has that improved things? Or, as you say, with the increased ability to purchase fireworks over the internet and by mail, has that just, have things worsened as a result? How has the situation evolved over the years?
Sure. Yeah. So, off the top of my head, we've had a bylaw for roughly 15 years. Just from a fire perspective only, our fire crews on a Halloween night prior to the bylaw would respond to a couple hundred incidents of fireworks and fires and nuisance fires. After the bylaw came into effect, it started to drop off. I believe last year we had 20 to 25 firework related calls in total for the city that the fire department responded to. So there is an impact with the bylaw. It doesn't mean that people aren't setting off fireworks, consumer fireworks, and the city's getting complaints for noise or other reasons. But the number has gone down significantly for actual fires.
And have you had to issue fines then?
So the fire department doesn't issue fines.
Sure, it's the city.
Bylaws does. I know in the press release the city put out, they said they wrote about 150 tickets last year for the improper consumer fireworks being used.
Okay. We have an email from James who writes, I definitely think they should be banned, not just at Halloween, but all year. They are very polluting, as well as for all the reasons you shared at the beginning. The caller who said it's a minority and that folks are taking fun away, it's not true. Many of us grew up without fireworks and have had a ton of fun on Halloween. I guess you have that issue as well with different experiences of people growing up as well, and how much fireworks have been a part of that over Halloween. What's your message, Chief, to people to be safe tonight?
Yeah, so we want to remind all the trick-or-treaters to make sure you have lights and brightly colored garments to reflect in the dark, and cross at crosswalks, and try not to use super flammable costume material if you're going to be around candles and jack-o'-lanterns and stuff. We don't want anyone getting unattended or unintentional consequences from burns or collisions with cars and stuff like that. And we just want everyone to be safe and have fun, enjoy Halloween. There's lots of ways to do it, lots of haunted house places to go to, and hopefully there'll be more communities that organize fireworks shows done by professionals, if that's an element that people are really looking for.
I know I've seen the lineup outside the P&E for their Fright Nights. I say, better you than me. Better you than me. Let me just take another call here, Chief, if you don't mind, because I think this
Sure.
this would be good for you to respond to. TA is joining us from Aldergrove. Hi, TA.
Well, hello there, Mrs. Elliott. How are you?
I am very well. It's Michelle. Thanks so much for calling in. What are your thoughts on
thank you.
fireworks?
Yes, I just wanted to know, first of all, originally I'm from California, so I just wanted to know how the origination of the fireworks did get started in the Lower Mainland. And, I mean, I don't mind them, and everything else, but I think they should be done by commercially, like on a beach or somewhere, bonfire, that way there. And we used to do that in California, on the beaches, with pallets and everything else.
Yeah.
But not the fireworks. So I'm just kind of wondering how this got started. And then one other thing I wanted to remind trick-or-treaters too was, and the drivers, especially the drivers tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The drivers' motors, are with the kids and everything else. They're going to be, focusing on that candy, not the cars.
That's right.
So, yeah. So I just wanted to point that out because I've seen one little kid kind of got run over and everything else, and it wasn't a pleasant sight.
No. Oh, my goodness. That's awful. TA, very important reminder and a really good question, too. I'm curious, how important is it, Chief, if you know, well, I'm sure you know, to set off fireworks when they're done commercially in a sanctioned event? Do they have to be near a body of water or at, as they say, in a large space? What are the requirements there?
Yeah, there's the National Resources Canada has a guide for fireworks, and it sets distances, it considers wind and direction, and basically anything that can burn has to be outside the fallout zone from where the fireworks are, and you don't want them to fall on people either. So there are guidelines. All the professionals are aware of what those guidelines are. So there's many locations. You don't need to be at the beach. Obviously, in July when they have the fireworks down in English Bay, they're from a barge in the middle of English Bay. So you really have no fire risks, any fireworks
Right.
that, misignite or fall, they're falling in the water. So it's really safe. In landlocked communities, though, there's parks and big fields where you can get the distances that you need to have a show safely.
Okay. And is it even possible to know how it originated in the Lower Mainland?
I know, I don't want to date myself, but many, many years ago in my youth, fireworks were a big part of Halloween. So I don't know why it's that way. I appreciate what that caller from California said. I believe they have drier weather year round
Right.
compared to the wet coast here where we are. And the fire risk is probably way higher during dry season, just like it is here in dry season. And fireworks are a considerable risk during dry season. So maybe because we've had a wetter Pacific Northwest climate for longer, it's just evolved that way.
Yeah. Well, really, real pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Larry Thomas is the Surrey Fire Chief, and Lucinda actually wrote us from Maple Ridge. Is it necessary to point out that Halloween fireworks are unique to southwestern BC? I have lived in 3 provinces and a territory, and none of them experience this chaos. Okay, Lucinda, thank you very much. We've been talking about that as well in our team. People have lived in different provinces as well and did not have the same experience with fireworks. But as you heard there from the chief, he's experienced fireworks since childhood here in the Lower Mainland. Let's take another call here, and James is on the line in the Thompson Valley. Hi, James. What are your thoughts on Halloween fireworks?
Well, I think that's weird.
Really?
From where I come from, anyways, there are no fireworks at Halloween. and it's a cultural thing for this area, I guess. But I would suggest they should be banned. Look at the material safety data sheet on the things. I haven't for years, but I do recall seeing some nasty stuff in them. And those fireworks are evenly distributing toxins amongst the surrounding community. They're polluting our sacred environmental gifts of life, our sacred air we breathe into our lungs, the sacred land that we get our food from, the sacred water we draw into our bodies or get our food from as well. And it seems rather illogical to have this form of entertainment that puts out these toxic clouds. I certainly don't appreciate being downwind of the toxic clouds myself.
Okay, but you don't see them where you live, though. That's not a tradition there.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Usually at Christmas or New Year's, and every once in a while some other alternative events. But I also know people that are affected by these things. They have post-traumatic stress disorder coming from other countries or the military. Yeah. Nobody likes to hear big bangs go off when you've had your home blow up or something like that. All the cost to the taxpayers of having these things start fires and create other problems. The taxpayers should wisen up. There should be a referendum on the issue in each community.
I hear you. James. Those concerns about people's experiences and the impact on them as well, and your concerns about the toxins potentially in those fireworks. Really good points. That's James in the Thompson Valley. We are getting a real range here of opinions on Halloween fireworks, asking you how you feel about them. Richard wrote us an email. I think that there should not be a ban, but have a permit to fire off fireworks. Okay, and that is what we're seeing, of course, in Surrey. And we're going to go now to a community where they have had an annual sanctioned event. It's held by the fire department there. This is in the North Okanagan, and the Armstrong Spalumasheen Fire Department holds an annual bonfire and fireworks at the IPE Fairgrounds. Madison Reynolds is president of the Armstrong Spalumasheen's Chamber of Commerce. Hello there, Madison.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Very nice to have you. Tell us about this annual event. Do you know how long it's been going for?
Well, I can tell you I was born and raised here, and I'm 37 years old. It's been going on for that long. So.
Oh, wow. What are your own memories of it?
Oh, every single year. We lived out of town in the surrounding community, Cellphone. So every year my parents would bring us into town to one of the busier subdivisions. We'd fill our pillowcases with candy, and then we'd head down to the bonfire and the fireworks display at our local fairground.
Wow. I remember. I missed the pillowcases. Now you've got kind of different kinds of bags. And how big is this fireworks show? I did speak to someone at the fire department, and he said about 500, 600 people show up.
Oh, yeah. The fairgrounds are packed. If you're familiar with the community, we hold the interior provincial exhibition on those grounds. So there's a lot of room for a lot of people. It's packed. It's a really good time. The display gets better every year. The fire department puts in such an amazing effort. They also give out free hot dogs and hot chocolate. There's this beautiful bonfire that's well contained that everybody gets to keep warm around. It's really a spectacular event. Wow.
And the display gets better each year. Are they able to do like a Halloween theme even?
So it hasn't ever really been themed, but I have to say I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep my cat away from.
Oh, that's
my
fine. We let the cat in. Yeah.
What's a witch without her cat? Right?
Exactly. And I love your witch's hat there, a little purple witch's hat. So yes, the cat can come. Show the cat.
Yes, I will and hopefully he doesn't flash his rear end at anybody while we're here. So yes, it hasn't really been themed, but I have to say they must source these fireworks from really professional organizations. Like, they are just more and more elaborate every year. They're beautiful. It seems to go on a little bit longer. People are always in awe. They're excited to go and see what's going to happen this year. It's just wonderful.
And is everybody dressed up?
Oh, yeah, almost everybody. And it's not as cold this year, so I think we'll get to see a little more of people's costumes. You never know out here. Sometimes you get snow on Halloween,
Right.
so it's nice when people can show off what they're wearing a little bit more.
Exactly. You're going to go out with your hat?
I think so. This is about as far as I got with my costume this year. I was busy getting my kids ready.
And to tell
So
us
I
how
neglected
they're
myself
dressed.
a little bit.
Oh, well.
My my oldest son is dressed as Michael Jackson, his favorite pop star this year. So he's at the high school really hamming it up in character today. And my youngest went on the more creative side of things. He's dressed as a hamster with 3 miniature plungers. So I'm not 100% sure where the idea came from, but he has his props and he's at school doing the costume parade today, having a really good time.
I respect the commitment. Plumber hamster. Let's go with that. Madison, have a great time tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Madison Reynolds is president of the Armstrong Spalumachine Chamber of Commerce. It's 12:27 now. This is BC Today. We'll have a lot more on the day's top stories, of course, throughout the day on the afternoon shows in your region. For listeners in Metro Vancouver, here's what's coming up on the coast.
Hi there, Michelle. It's Gloria Makarenko here, and I hope you can join us for On the Coast this afternoon. You know, after a years-long battle between the city of Surrey and the provincial government, Surrey Police Service is getting ready to take command in less than a month's time. So we'll hear from them, hear more about what that transition is going to look like. And now we're getting a little better idea of what the BC government is going to look like heading into a new session after the election. So our Soapbox Social panel, Mo Amir and Kyla Lee, they're going to be here to share their perspective on the expected priorities. Have you ever considered downsizing your home? Well, our guide to personal finance, Mark Ting, will be here to take us through some of the pros and cons of doing that. And of course, we've got more fun for Halloween and Diwali, so I hope you can join us between 3 and 6 for On the Coast.
Gloria, thank you very much. Lots of emails on fireworks. Joan writes, I'm surprised firemen put on fireworks displays for the reason that I know that in their career, there are many who have cancer from fighting the toxins. Carla writes as well, I love Halloween fireworks. When our kids were growing up, when they were young, we made our fireworks set off safely with our kids, but I grew up in Winnipeg and we didn't shout trick or treat either. So there you go. Maybe it is something that is specific to our region. And Tamara writes, they should be regulated to a specific event or location. I live on the Kootenay River and I have 3 horses. And that is what concerns Tamara. Thanks for your emails. bctoday@cbc.ca. Thank you so much for all of your emails. They're still coming in on fireworks. We'll get through them. And Michelle Wright says as well, I think it'd be helpful to teach kids and teens and adults before Halloween each year about how fireworks and firecrackers can impact pets, as well as their neurodiverse friends and neighbors. So a chance to teach empathy. Thank you so much for that. You can always write us bctoday@cbc.ca. And coming up in our next half hour, we are going to we have a treat coming up, and we have a special guest, iconic rapper Maestro Fresh Wes is going to join us. He's waving at me right now. Very nice to have you. And he's going to tell us a story of going through, helping his friend go through his recovery journey. And so we'll hear that story of their friendship and what impact that's had on his friend, who's also a rapper here locally in Vancouver. And we're going to ask you, is there someone who's helped you through your own recovery journey? And how important is that support? So that conversation coming up after the CBC News Update with Rob Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. Officials now say 3 people died in a house fire Monday in Duncan. The fire chief says one of the victims had already gotten out of the building, but went back in to try and save other victims when he was overcome by smoke and didn't survive. Names of the victims have not been released. Vancouver fire officials say a cigarette was responsible for a fire that destroyed 3 homes and displaced nearly a dozen people in the Strathcona neighborhood earlier this month. They say the fire on October 8th was the result of a carelessly discarded cigarette at the rear of the property. Officials say smoking materials should only be put in a metal container of water or sand and never off of balconies, out of car windows, or around vegetation. And the latest update on the state of the economy is showing Canada's gross domestic product remained essentially unchanged over the summer months. Statistics Canada says GDP was up by just 0.1% in August, which is where it was in July. In recent months, the Bank of Canada has acknowledged repeatedly the economy is weak, but it says growth will pick up in the new year in response to the latest interest rate cuts. And now the forecast on the North Coast, mainly sunny this afternoon with a high of 9, highs around 0 and clearing in the Peace. In the central interior, including Prince George, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 5, highs from 1 to 7 with showers and light snow in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, a chance of showers with a high of 7 as well. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria and the Fraser Valley, mainly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 10. That's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
I think we've scared our next guests here just a little bit because I've been joined by some of my colleagues here on the set.
Wow.
Who are all dressed up. Belle Puri, legendary journalist, by the way, is dressed up as a witch with her witch's hat. We've got... And she's got a broom to prove it. Gloria Makarenko, who you know is just this charming, the host, the dignified host of On the Coast, has her huge witch's hat on, all dressed up as well, and it's got spiders on it as well. I'm also joined by, is it Cleopatra?
Yes,
Cleopatra. Yasmin Khadea, our reporter, beautiful dress. And I think Randy Macho Man Savage is here with me too.
Oh, yeah.
My colleague Steve Venegas, yesterday someone wrote us or called about dressing up as Bret the Hitman Hart. We've got someone here for you who's got you beat because Steve Venegas is all in on Randy Savage. Yeah, show the guns. And he's even got a belt to prove the championship. You guys all win in my books. You look fantastic. Thank you for getting in the Halloween spirit. That's a witch's cackle in the back there from Gloria. And Belle, too. Is there a sound effect for you, Yasmin? No. Yeah. All right.
Cleopatra was very demure. Ancient Egyptian.
Rob, any thoughts?
Fantastic.
There you go.
What can you say? They're awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween. Thanks, guys.
Happy Halloween.
This is BC Today. Thanks for all your emails as well on your Halloween costumes. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a big hip-hop fan, and I remember being a young teen in 1989, seeing the video for Let Your Backbone Slide on my TV screen on Much Music, and watching it and thinking, wow, we have a Canadian rap song. And it was slamming. It was Let Your Backbone Slide by, of course, rapper Maestro Fresh Wes. They have become a big part of Canadian music history. And this year, he was inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And now, Maestro, or Wes Williams, is using his platform to tackle the topic of addiction recovery. And this weekend, he's a keynote speaker and performer at a fundraiser for the Together We Can Society in Vancouver. And that's an issue that is important to him, having helped his friend Robbie Curry through his own recovery journey. And Robbie's also known as the rapper Robbie Burns and works with Together We Can and the Vancouver School Board as a community outreach worker. And it's my pleasure to welcome them here today. Hello, both of you.
Good day, good day.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for having
Oh, really, really good to have you. I can't wait to hear your story. We're going to take your calls too. And then we're asking you, is there someone who's helped you through your own recovery journey? And how important is that support for you? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. If you want to email us, it's bctoday@cbc.ca. Wes, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what to congratulate you on because there's so many accolades.
Yeah.
But yes, Music Hall of Fame. Hip hop celebrated 50 years last year, and here you are with this huge honor.
You know, you just got to keep it moving, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate being appreciated, and it's an honor to be honored. And you know, you just got to keep it moving. Back in the days, I never really sat back and took it all in. But sometimes you got to reflect back and be like, wow, this has been a hell of a journey.
It really has. And for people like me who grew up with Let Your Backbone Slide, it's really something. It defines. It defined my childhood, that's for sure.
Okay. Sorry about that. No, just joking.
No, you should have seen my
playing.
Running Man when I was listening to that song. But let me ask you then, you know, you have this platform, obviously. You're using it for all these causes. Why recovery?
Well, you know what? It's like I've been fortunate in a lot of ways where, you know, I had my goal that I was trying to obtain, but like a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my friends in the music business, I've seen them go wayward. I've seen them have, you know, go through certain stumbling blocks along the way. And I've seen some of them didn't really make it through. You know, some of them are still struggling in a lot of ways. Some good friends of mine. One of them, I'm not going to mention his name right now, but he just passed away as well. But I can just try to lead by example, and if they need an ear, I'm here.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, no doubt.
Robbie, tell me about how you know what this has been like for you and how your friendship has helped you through.
Well, Wes's friendship has been a blessing. It's been 20 years. You know, I started out making music a long time ago, and I stepped out of music to find recovery and raise my son sober. And Wes has always been a great friend and a motivator. You know, I went through Together We Can 10 years ago, and they're a drug and alcohol treatment center, the largest in Canada. And we're just really grateful to have Wes be our keynote speaker at the Together We Can Gala, which is on Saturday. It's a real blessing.
Saturday, November 2nd.
Time's flying, eh?
What? It's going to be Christmas right after today, right?
Go.
And so, Robbie, you know, what are you comfortable with sharing?
I'm an open book. You know, I make my message, and you know, I think one of the most important things is to carry the message to others that are struggling. You know, at Together We Can, we're here to help, and if you have a friend or family member that's struggling, please reach out for help.
What have you learned about, you know, even from people you work with, how important it is to have a friend, someone who can help you through?
I think there's a big stigma on addiction in Canada. You know, there's obviously an addiction problem in Canada on the streets. You see it outside the windows. You see it all over the place. Having someone to reach out to, having a friend that you can talk to. We don't get sober alone. We do with others. And, you know, having other people to have a support network around you of men, women, is you know, key to recovery.
Yeah. What does that entail? Like, what are the conversations that you both have had? What does that support look like?
I think for us, it's just keeping having a connection, right?
Yeah.
The opposite of addiction is connection. You need connection, you need support, you need good people around you, right? Surround yourself with good people, but you need the support, right? And Wes has always been a big support.
I think compassion is something that we need as well.
Yeah.
And listening, and just try to say, you know what, not everybody is going through the same path as you. You know, I mean, on the outside you could see somebody looking one way, but they're battling certain addictions, battling certain demons, what have you. You know.
You never know.
And definitely. So I'm really looking forward to the gala and the presentation.
Yeah.
On Saturday. That's gonna be dope.
What's your message?
Well, you know, when you think of recovery, you know, I mean, my thing is like revising. You got to revise your plan. So one of my big songs was stick to your vision. So sometimes you need a revision. You got to revise certain things, reassess, reevaluate yourself. We've all been here for a reason, right? There's a reason why the Most High in the universe has us here still, right? So there's got to be a reason for that we're still here.
Keep
so let's
going.
make the best version of ourselves. Wow. The little time we have left.
Love hearing your story. I'm joined here right now by Maestro Fresh Wes, and he's going to be the keynote speaker at a fundraiser on Saturday for Together We Can. I'm also joined by Robbie Curry, who goes by the rapper name Robbie Burns, and is an outreach worker with not just Together We Can, but also with the Vancouver School Board. We're going to hear about that a little bit as well, working with youth. But we'd love to hear from you on the role that someone has had in your life when it comes to addiction recovery, and or if you have supported someone as well. I know we get a lot of calls on this journey here on this show. We'd love to hear that story and how important the support is of someone helping you through addiction recovery. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. If you want to email us, it's bctoday@cbc.ca. And I'm struck, Robbie, you talked about stigma. That comes up over and over again when we discuss the issue of the opioid crisis and addiction. How does it impact people you work with?
I mean, I think you see it everywhere. And as you said, everybody struggles with their own issues. I think the stigma around it is something that sometimes gets portrayed maybe in the media negatively. And, we're trying to cast a different light on that, right? Together We Can is a center that's there to shine a brighter light and give hope, give someone a place to go. There's 37 homes across BC. I think we have over 350 beds helping men and women.
Wow.
And, we're just trying to build better communities and give people a place to go.
And, me being from Toronto, born and raised, but a part of my life was right here. My son was born here in Vancouver. I've lived here for 4 years. So I've been acclimated with the city as well as certain crises that they have as well.
Yeah.
So it's an honor to be back here doing something.
It certainly is an issue. They're just dapping each other right now, as friends do. And I'd love to ask you about stigma as well. What do you see music? What role does music play in removing that? I know, Eminem raps about drug addiction, right? So what role does music play?
I mean, listen, it doesn't matter your genre of music, man. It's like we're susceptible to a lot of things. You being an artist, a lot of people giving you this, giving you that, to try to get the edge off, what have you. So I think a lot of times when you think of artists, you think, they have some type of issue, some type of substance abuse issue, or if it's alcohol or excessive amount of weed, or like you said, the opioid crisis, what have you. And I'm just saying, not everybody's like that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
There's a lot of people who haven't.
It's true.
But then again, there's a lot of people who have. So I'm one of the ones that I've been fortunate enough to be able to dodge a couple bullets along the way, if you know what I'm saying. So my friends along the way that I've met, it's a beautiful thing that we're here still, like you said, it's just going on 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And to see that we're still here, we're here for a reason, and to make a big difference and make the most positive impact we can,
Yeah, and I've watched, we lose a lot of people, right? Everybody's family
That
is...
must be so hard.
Yeah, I think everybody knows someone that's been touched with the disease of addiction or alcoholism, whether it's a father, brother, mother, daughter, it touches everybody.
It really does. I know from doing this show and people calling in, it is such a widespread issue. And putting out our calls as well, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. What role has someone's support played in your own addiction recovery? If you've lent support to a friend or a family member, a loved one, we want to hear about that too. Troy is joining us now from White Rock. Hi, Troy.
Hello there.
Thanks so much for calling. What did you want to share?
Well, I was actually in Together We Can. I just want to say I appreciate what they're doing and how they're taking care of people that are struggling with the drug addiction, alcoholism, mental illness. It's unfortunate how many people everybody's lost. I have friends and family. A brother of mine, he passed away about 30 years ago.
Wow, man. Wow. My condolences, man.
Yeah.
Guilt. Back then, I was into drugs and fighting and all that, and I thought I had to avenge my brother's death. And it wasn't. It was the guilt that I was carrying it wasn't about avenging his death or anything. It was about not being on the right track and state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then together we came, counselors and all them there, they helped me understand that there was something deeper inside me that was affecting me, trying to bury myself with the drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
And what happened was I had like an epiphany. I just broke down in tears at the certain moment, and they asked if I ever forgave my brother.
Yeah.
Now you got to dig pretty deep for that to forgive somebody that you lost.
That's a lot of work. Yeah.
It certainly is. Yeah.
And I just buried my niece. Or we didn't bury her. We just had my niece's memorial yesterday, last night.
Wow.
She was 36 years old. She died on the East End. And
I'm so sorry.
Losing too many people.
Yeah.
Troy, has there been someone who's helped you? I know you talked about going to Together We Can. Is there someone in your life?
I am fortunate that I have a lot of people in my life that supported me, and it's about opening your ears, eyes, and asking yourself to let them in. If you don't let people into your heart, you're not going to get anywhere. You gotta be strong enough to break down that barrier of being the tough guy and
get vulnerable.
That ain't the way. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you to do?
Very hard. I was when I grew up, I lost my mom at 13 years old, and that's where it started with me. I'm one of the biggest mummy boys, if you want to put it a certain way.
So am I.
I lost her and I lost everything I thought, and I was just mad. I was mad all the time, and
But you were young too, man. You were 13.
So young.
It wasn't like you were 23 or 33. You were 13.
Yeah. A lot of addiction, alcoholism usually stems from trauma, right?
Absolutely. And so, Troy, what has Together We Can been able to do for you?
Well, you go there and they help you get your first few days, get yourself organized, and then your diet. You get your diet on track, and you get it's mental and physical wellness first, and then I think it goes into the spiritual wellness. You gotta let things into your heart. I think that's a good way to say it. You got to let things into your heart so you can see the better on the other side. And they all the counselors, and they're all very kind, and they're understanding, and
that's amazing.
Experience a lot of men and coming in and suffering, and that wakes you up. When you're looking and staying with people in the same room, it makes you realize what's going on.
Yeah, and they say suffering is the great agent for change, and we all have that common suffering, and together we get better. We get better when we're with other men, other women that understand the disease, and we're very grateful to have the counselors and the team at Together We Can and treatment centers across Canada that are doing the work on the front lines. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you so much, Troy. How are you doing now?
I'm still a little shook up, but I thank you guys and appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All the
much.
best, my guy.
Reach out anytime, man.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna have a visit at Together We Can.
Yeah, please do that. We'd love to see you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All the best, Troy. Take
Peace.
care. And my condolences as well for your loss of your niece. Wow. That experience. It struck me that he said you have to be open to that help.
Yeah, I think
That's one of the hardest things to do, probably, man.
I
Just
bet.
be open to help, man.
I think getting vulnerable, having humility and like surrendering. I had to surrender. I had to give up.
How hard was that for you?
At times, very difficult. Very difficult. Having periods of sobriety and then falling into old habits and trying to get back to that place and letting go of your ego and surrendering and getting back. It's difficult because the disease wants to keep you out, wants to keep us disconnected. connected, we're better. Together, we're better.
Yeah, and I bet that's a journey you have to go through as well to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Let me just put out the mental health support line for anyone listening. It's 310-6789, 310-6789 if you are experiencing distress. That is the BC mental health support line. And the 24/7 addiction medicine clinician support line is 778 945 7619 778 945 7619. And thank you again to Troy for that call.
Yeah.
And we have an email here from Bernadette who writes from Sydney rather. It's only because of the courage I've gained to get away from the stigma of alcohol dependence that I can be out there about this. I'm in recovery for 31 years now.
Wow.
Although I did treatment, counseling, and other things,
Yeah.
AA is the thing that made the biggest difference in my life.
There you
I've
go.
had lots of losses, but no bitterness. Bernadette, thank you, and congratulations to you for 31 years in recovery. What goes through your mind, guys, when you hear those kinds of stories? I can hear you, Wes, just reacting to it.
Because you got to say, she just said, like, she's recovering 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine the impact she had in her earlier years in life, how traumatizing that was. That she could reflect back every single day and saying, I'm recovering from like 33 years. Like the impact, That's what's going through my mind when I said, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
about you,
think
Robbie?
I hear 31 years, 40 years, 50 years, one day. The token slogan is one day at a time in the rooms of AA. And it's true, one day at a time you surrender and end up with 31 years. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're getting applause here, Bernadette. And you talked about trauma when you were listening to Troy,
Yeah.
Robbie,
Yeah.
and that comes up so much, right? The roots of addiction in trauma.
Yeah. Not to get too into my story, but definitely had some trauma and traumatic things that I went through growing up, as we all do. I was lucky to have some great counselors and some great therapists at Together We Can. They had the support and they had the qualified people there that were able to help me. And doing therapy for me to shed some of the skin off from my past and drop that character was humongous for me moving forward.
I like how you said drop that character, because what you're really saying is that character is not really you.
No.
That character tried to take control of you.
Yeah.
Well, you're trying to shed that character. That's what you've done.
Yeah, and that's the disease, right? It wants to keep you in that dark space. So being able to let go of that was super freeing for myself. Yeah.
I think we have a few minutes here. Let's go to Quinn in Penticton. Hi, Quinn. Go ahead. Tell us your story. Thanks so much for calling.
Hi, I'm Quinn. I'm from Prince Rupert, BC. I live in Penticton with my partner now. I've been sober for about, I think, since New Year's so almost a year now. It's been a little bit of a tough struggle finding a place to just get back into meetings and stuff in Penticton. But I went to Together We Can in 2019, and I met a lot of amazing people that started me on my journey to recovery. And it was one of those things that I went as a young kid to try and just get my life back on track. I saw my mom and my parents suffering from addiction. My grandparents always supported me in a way where they knew that if I had to go away, they would help me, and that's what they provided me with, was
Wow.
the opportunity to go to treatment in Burnaby at Together We Can. And
That's huge.
I went again for another 5 months in 2021. And I like to say, shout out Max Parafit and all the guys at the house. Like, you boys
Big Max.
really helped me. Yeah, he's looking great now. It's good to see that people like that have really taken the time, and a role that they play is way bigger than they could ever imagine. Like someone just as amazing as Stacy, to do what he does and come
There you go.
come to you every day, right? And just make sure that like you as a person is okay. He doesn't care about anything else that's going on. He wants to make sure you're okay, right? So there's nothing more that I could say about Together We Can that hasn't been already said.
Okay.
And I just like to thank the people that maybe hear me now that have changed my life, and anyone that's struggling out there, just to reach out and look for the person that may be struggling, because everyone has their days and everyone's going through something, but there's always someone out there that can get you through it.
Quinn, you have put it so well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I love the shout outs to Max and Stacey.
Quinn, I mean, keep doing what you're doing, man. One day at a time, reach out. And that's amazing to hear. Stacey Wilson, the executive director of Together We Can, has a heart of gold. I don't know too many men that have a heart like Stacey. The team at Together We Can and the work they do. I mean, you hear it from men and women here on air.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a story to share, right? So
I just have a minute left here, but you're going to school tomorrow.
We're elementary school. Yeah, I'm excited about that, with the kids. And, tomorrow's a very special day. I'll be able to speak to the kids as well as drop my 4th children's album. The Rhyme Travelers.
Oh my
drops
goodness.
tomorrow.
I told you play a role in kids' lives, childhoods, right?
everybody's Canadian icon right there.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's wonderful. And you're obviously also going to be there.
Yeah, it's Weir Elementary, and we're excited to have them. Wes will be speaking to 400 elementary school students, sharing Rhyme Travelers, his new book. New album. You're
going to have them just bopping their heads, I'm sure.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So great to have you both. Thank you for sharing your story and listening to our callers as well. Really
Thanks for having us.
Have a blast on Saturday.
All right.
Maestro Fresh Wes, Wes Williams, the godfather of Canadian hip-hop, of course. Need I say more? And a speaker now, Robbie Curry, a.k.a. Robbie Burns, rapper and community outreach worker with Together We Can. I really want to thank as well our callers, Troy and Quinn. It was so powerful to hear your stories. I really appreciate hearing from you.